Hey guys, today we are making a delicious French treat known as a canelé. Now, canelés originate from the city of Bordeaux in southwestern France, and they are one delectable morsel. They are known for their crunchy exterior and the delicate custardy interior. It's quite a taste sensation. A canelé is a tricky dessert to master, but not to worry, I'm going to share with you all of my tips and tricks so that you too can master this French delicacy in your own kitchen. Okay, so first up, let's tackle the mold. So across the internet, there is lots of lively debate on which mold is best to use for a canelé. So I figured I owe you my opinion and I'm gonna weigh in on the subject. So if you're gonna go the traditional route and use a copper mold, which is most traditional, you'll find a few things. One, they're super expensive. You get like 4 molds for about $50. So you have to really be invested in making a canelé to spend that kind of money, I think. However, they are charming and they are the traditional thing that is used in France. But I find them to be very inconsistent, and here's why. Sometimes you get a nice crusty exterior and sometimes not. They're difficult to clean, so if you go in there with a sponge and you scrub too hard, you'll start to wear away the protective coating inside the copper, and then if you bake with them, that will lead to really splotchy canelés. So not such a big fan of the copper. Okay, next up, the silicone molds. Now these would be the most affordable. You can usually get one of these molds for anywhere from $9 to $15 online. But I find that you are not going to get that crusty exterior with these molds, no matter how long you leave them in the oven. If you don't really care about the crusty exterior and you just want the custardy interior, then these are a good one to try if you just want to kind of have fun with it. They do taste delicious, I will give them that. And then the third one, which in my opinion is the clear winner, is the non-stick carbon steel pan. I look at it as like a hybrid. You get the nice conductive heat of the metal like you would get with the copper, but then you also get the convenience of a mold. So you have 12 wells in this mold, so you can make a whole batch at one time. I love it because it consistently creates that hard exterior, that caramelized, crunchy exterior, which is so hard to get, but not with this pan. I found that this one was just consistently great. Super easy to clean because of its non-stick finish. And you can pick one up for under $30. So these were my findings. I'll leave links in the description to all of these pans if you want to try them yourselves and see what you think. I would love to know what your results are, so definitely leave me a comment and let me know how you do. Okay, now that that's all out of the way, let's make the batter. So in a large saucepan, you're going to add 2 cups of milk, 1 vanilla bean that you have scraped of its seeds, and you can go ahead and add the paste and the pod. 3 tablespoons of butter. Now, if you live in the States, I say to use salted butter, but if you live outside of the States, I would use unsalted and just increase the salt quantity to another 1/4 teaspoon. I say that because here in the States, our butter isn't actually that salty, it's more flavorful, but outside the States, I know salty butter is pretty salty. And you're also gonna add 1/2 cup of white sugar. So you're gonna whisk that all up until combined, and once that butter starts to melt, you'll also see all of those vanilla seeds start to rise to the surface. That's when you know it's done. And then you can go ahead and fish out the vanilla bean. Then you wanna let your milk mixture cool down a bit. And then meanwhile, in a large bowl, you're gonna use 3 egg yolks, 1/2 teaspoon of salt, which you would increase to 3/4 teaspoon of salt if you're using the unsalted butter. Now, in a traditional canelé, you would use rum for the flavoring, but I have found that I really don't like that kind of alcoholic aftertaste in baked goods like this, so I found that the rum extract is so much better. You actually, ironically, get more rum flavor with the extract than the actual rum, and the extract is much cheaper. It's like a few dollars versus like a $25 bottle of rum that you may use once a year. So I say go for the extract. Now, for any of you out there that don't drink and would be concerned about alcohol, the rum extract does actually have a little bit of alcohol in it, so it is something to know. Then you're gonna go back to your milk mixture and you're going to temper your egg yolks, just slowly pouring it in, whisking all the while. Then we are going to add 1 cup of all-purpose flour. Now the secret with the flour is just to add a little bit at a time, because if you dump the whole thing in there, you end up with a really thick, almost pasty-like mixture, because this mixture is hot and it starts to kind of activate the thickening agent of the flour, and you end up with a bit of a paste. So easy does it, and you'll still end up with a smooth, thin mixture. Then we want to strain this mixture into a 4-cup Pyrex pitcher, because then that way it'll be really easy to pour this batter into our molds when it's time to bake. Okay, so now this leads us to my next tip, resting the batter. So if you notice, most canelé recipes out there will say to let the batter rest in the refrigerator for anywhere from 24 to 48 hours. I have to say this is exactly true. If you try to bake this right away, and I have tried it because I'm an impatient cook and I really wanted to get to the bottom of it and see what would happen, this is what happens. You end up with like a popover, so that the batter like rises up, all the batter balloons out, and you end up with these really misshapen, strange looking canelés. It's a disaster, so don't do that. Now, if you go the full 48 hours, if you can wait and do the 48 hours, it's even better, because what that does is it creates an even shinier exterior, which prevents the need from having to use the beeswax. So there's lots of discussion online whether you need the beeswax or don't need the beeswax, which is something that you would melt and actually line the pans with. Personally, I found it really difficult to find food grade beeswax, and sometimes it can be deceiving whether it's cosmetic grade, food grade, so I didn't want you guys to have to go through all of that. So I have another tip for you. We are going to be using baking spray. So I found that baking spray over butter creates a nice shiny exterior. And then you can go in with a pastry brush and make sure you're getting into all those nooks and crannies. Okay, then you need to decide how big you want your canelés. So if you fill them up just a little bit past 3/4 of the way, you'll end up with a nice tall canelé. If you go halfway, they'll still be good and delicious, and you'll end up with like a shorter one. So this recipe will make 12 small canelés, but if you want them a little bit bigger, then do like 6 or 8. Then we are going to put these in a 450-degree Fahrenheit oven to begin for exactly 10 minutes. At that point, you want to reduce the oven to 375 degrees Fahrenheit, and you're going to let that go for about 30 to 35 minutes, just until those tops become nice and golden brown. And this is what I really love about this pan. Once the tops are golden brown, you know that the sides are. I found with the other molds, the top could be really gorgeously golden brown, but then the exterior was not. So what you see is what you get with this pan. And I say wait like 30 to 40 minutes before actually serving them. This will give the center, which is pretty custardy, a chance to set up. If you serve them right away, that custard could kind of ooze out and you'll think they're not done, but they actually set up the longer you sit. Now, if you'd like to learn how to make a foolproof Madeline, you can click this video here and I'll see you over there. All right, you guys, I'll see you back here next week. Hope you enjoy. Until then, bye.